Welcome, everybody, to the Neutral Zone Infraction Northwest podcast. I'm Drew, and I've got a show for us today. It's going to be a good one. I got Week 11 in the NFL recap to start out. Where to start? So much fun stuff. Jared Goff got his first start for the Rams this week. He finally took the job from probably the worst starting quarterback in the NFL, Case Keenum, who is now thankfully not a starting quarterback in the NFL anymore. But Jared Goff didn't exactly light it up. No touchdowns, 160 yards. You know, I'm worried about him come this week against the Saints. This was a guy who couldn't even call a play at the beginning of the preseason. Like, he couldn't get in a huddle and call a play because he never did it in college. Not one time did he do it. So he's trying to figure out all these complex NFL plays that are like reading a poem that was stitched together by a 5-year-old that's 3 sentences long, and you're trying to figure it out. And it's not good. Not good for the Rams, but good for the Seahawks. So keep doing you, Jared Goff. Next, I saw the Packers. Boy, they got some points put on them Sunday Night Football. Kirk Cousins went just absolutely bananas crazy. I should have started him in fantasy. Who would have known that Ben Roethlisberger would throw for no touchdowns? Kirk Cousins would throw for almost 400 yards and 3 touchdowns. I didn't know. But what can you do? That was a crazy game. Dom Capers, defensive coordinator for the Green Bay Packers, you pack a bag because that dog ain't going to hunt. I don't care how many injuries you have. Anytime you get 40 plus put up on you in prime time, it's gonna wave some red flags for your ownership. In which case, that's gonna be the president of the Green Bay Packers, because it's all weird ownership by everyone in Wisconsin. So, I still think that the NFC North is a weak enough division that the Green Bay Packers can win, but not a great showing this week against the Redskins. It was a good showing for the Seahawks, though. I was really impressed with what I saw. We were really until the end there when apparently we gave up and kind of decided to hit the snooze alarm a few too many times. We were really putting the points on them pretty good. Our defense played really well with 2 interceptions, getting some turnovers. And Carson Wentz hadn't thrown many interceptions previous to that, except for that one crazy bonanza of a Vikings game I watched with the Eagles a couple weeks ago. But other than that, not a lot of interceptions for him. And, it was really our fans that did a number on him. Any rookie going into CenturyLink to play is going to have a hard time against the way our defense is playing right now. He's lucky Michael Bennett wasn't there. Otherwise, he would have gotten sacked 46 times and he'd be on a stretcher right now. But it was a great game for the Seahawks. I mean, anytime your starting quarterback can catch a touchdown pass from your wide receiver, I went crazy when that happened. That was excellent. I loved every part of that. There's not a part of that I didn't love. I can't express how much I loved that. It was just a big ol', hey guys, we can do whatever we want to you. Here we are. Just disrespectful. It was excellent. So that's going to lead me into my not so much love Seahawks of the week. I mean, there wasn't a lot to look at and be like, man, I really hated this part of the game with the Seahawks and the Eagles. I mean, obviously, Earl Thomas going down for 10 to 14 days. That sucks. CJ Prosise going down for a few weeks. I heard 4 to 6 at a time. So that sucks too. Deshaun Shedd, 10 to 14 days. So this week against the Buccaneers, I would expect Earl Thomas and Deshaun Shedd to be back for the week after this game. But I'm glad we're playing the Buccaneers and not somebody super legitimate, because half of our starting secondary is probably not going to be suiting up come Sunday. So that's no good. Other than that, my not so much love Seahawk of the week is Gary Gilliam. it seemed like any time that the Eagles were able to get pressure, it was coming from that right side. Gary Gilliam plays right tackle. He had a false start against him, which always frustrates me. We had a bunch of false starts right in a row. The whole line was, at the beginning of the game, just not on the same page. It seemed like there was a flag all the time. We overcame, but it was not a great day for Gary Gilliam. Except for that one play where, he sprung C.J. Prosise for 72 yards and a score. But besides that, not a great day for Gary Gilliam. My love Seahawk of the week. Now, this one, is going to be a toss-up between the two players in the greatest play I've ever seen in my life. Maybe not the greatest play I've ever seen in my life. That would be either Beastquake 1 or 2. But the third best play I've ever seen in my life, and I'm going to go with Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson looks great. If you showed me tape, if you showed me game film of Russell Wilson playing in this game against the Eagles, and you said at the beginning of this year he had an MCL strain and a high ankle sprain, I would be like, no, he didn't. He looks like Russell Wilson. He looks fast. He can do that thing he does where the defensive whoever is coming to sack him, and he does his little spin out move, and they go on their skates 12 yards the other direction, and he laughs and he counts his money, and it's just the best thing. Russell Wilson, phenomenal job. He looked like a wide receiver running out there. Nobody was covering him because they didn't have any idea what was happening. All of a sudden, the linebacker's like, "Is that Russell Wilson running past me?" And yes, sir, it was, and he caught a touchdown pass. So Russell Wilson, definitely love Seahawk of the week. Another funny thing to come out of that play, and I saw this 2 days ago, is apparently Doug Baldwin was none too happy with the play call as it transpired. There's actually video of him in slow motion flipping off Darrell Bevell, the offensive coordinator, and he was quoted saying, "If we're in the red zone, throw me the effing ball." So apparently he doesn't want to throw touchdown passes, even though he's now in his career 1 for 1 for 15 yards and a touchdown. No. He wants to catch them. He's Doug Baldwin. He does what he wants, including flipping off the coach that calls the plays. I feel you, Doug Baldwin. Every once in a while, I'd like to flip off Darrell Bevell too. And that's a perfect segue into our question of the week, which is, why in God's green name earth, oh my God, do we not throw the ball to Jimmy Graham? So why don't we throw the ball to Jimmy Graham? Great question. So my roommate, we always banter, we always talk about, I'm always saying that we should throw the ball to Jimmy Graham 2 out of every 3 plays. 2 out of every 3 passing plays, we should just throw it at that huge man, and he'll make a catch, and it will be just a great offensive strategy. Well, as we've seen in these past 2 years with Jimmy Graham, it's not the strategy that Darrell Bevell and the Seahawks would like to utilize. And so they got us asking, why? Why don't they do it? And the honest-to-God answer is, I have no freaking idea. Literally, they could throw it to him 2 out of 3 times, and he would catch, maybe 70% of the balls thrown his way. I am not kidding you. So, researching this, I did what any God-fearing millennial in 2016 is going to do. I looked up a YouTube video, a highlight video of Jimmy Graham when he was with the Saints. And I kid you not, here's some of the stuff that I saw. I saw Jimmy Graham catches a ball over Patrick Peterson in the conversation for best cornerback in the league. It doesn't matter. He's so tall. Drew Brees puts it over Patrick Peterson's head, and he carries trying to tackle him, Patrick Peterson, 3 yards into the end zone. I saw him throw it into triple coverage. Jimmy Graham caught it. I saw him drag a Jets defensive person 5 yards into the end zone. I even saw a play where in between Cam Chancellor and Bobby Wagner, some people that Seahawks fans know very well, he makes the catch. He catches the ball right in between them for a touchdown. I think it was the one of the divisional playoff games, the one that we had here where nobody was friends with Jimmy Graham after that. But it was crazy. And, Luke Kuechly. This is a list of all-pro defensive players. All-pro. You look up and down that list that I just mentioned, and all of them are all pros. So why? Why can we not throw it to him? In the 4 years before he was a Seattle Seahawk, it was 11 touchdowns, 9 touchdowns. In 2013, which was an incredible year, probably the best year tight ends ever had, 16 touchdowns, 1,200 yards, 84 receptions. I remember that year. I remember Jimmy Graham, and then the next year after that, it was 10 touchdowns. And he was injured for several parts of each of these years, except for the 16 touchdowns one. So you can't stop him. He's not diminished physically that I can see. He is coming off a pretty catastrophic knee injury, but he's shown that he can, number one, get open. Number two, if he doesn't get open, it doesn't matter. So let's say you're having a barbecue and you've got 2 choices. You can have Costco hot dog, or Emeril Lagasse can come to your grill and cook you filet mignon, say bam while he's throwing seasonings on it, and personally serve it to you while cutting the meat, feeding it to you with his hands. Man, let me tell you, Darrell Bevell's going Costco hot dog. Because, my God, not that any of the Seahawks receivers are necessarily bad. We've got a surprisingly good receiving core. But you've got this guy who is a transcendent talent. Absolutely transcendent. I think that if he stays, still probably makes the Hall of Fame, even right now. Even if he continues his sort of downward progression. And Seahawks fans don't like to hear it. They're like, oh, Jimmy Graham. We love Jimmy Graham. We traded Max Unger for him, and it was awesome. Well, let me tell you what. We traded Max Unger for him, and then we didn't use him. He got 2 touchdowns and 4 touchdowns. So right now he's got 2 touchdowns this season. I mean, we can do better. No. Last year he had 2 touchdowns and he got injured. This season he's got 4. So, we could close out the season. He could have a respectable number, maybe 6, maybe 8. If Darrell Bevell follows the Drew strategy, he could have 16 or 20 or 47. But just throw the man the ball. It doesn't make any sense to me why on earth we don't do that. So, and the plays that I saw, I mean, I watched Jimmy Graham as a Saint when I was watching football games just regularly. But in this highlight video that I just watched, he's doing all kinds of routes. Like, these are deep balls getting thrown to him. This is literally him going to the goal line, turning around, and catching a ball that's too high for the defender to catch. Are you telling me that Russell Wilson, an obviously elite quarterback, can't do that? He can't just put the ball up there where only Jimmy Graham can catch it, and then Jimmy Graham catches it? He's shown he can do it. He absolutely can do it. Jimmy Graham and Russell Wilson are like BFFs. Jimmy Graham was at Russell Wilson's wedding, and then none of the other people on the Seahawks were. So apparently there's some kind of weird dude, giant Greek god stone of a man connection going on there. So why don't we see it more on the football field? And, honestly, I think it comes down to how much he's on the field and the plays that we're calling. Now, we've got 3 tight ends on the Seahawks. We've got Nick Vannett, primary blocking tight end, who we picked up in this last draft. We've got Luke Wilson, who was recently injured, as I like to call him Stone Hands, although he's gotten a lot better about that lately, a backup tight end, a serviceable tight end. He's pretty good. And then we've got Jimmy Graham. And God, the number of plays, even against the Eagles, when we were comfortably ahead, and I wasn't stressed that I was just like, oh my God, I wish Jimmy Graham was on the field right now. Please, God, put in Jimmy Graham. I'm looking at the personnel thing that they like to flash at us now, and it's like, where's Jimmy Graham? I don't see him. Why isn't he on the field? It's like, first down, okay, they run the ball, and I see Jimmy Graham running off the field. It's like, what did he do? He didn't do anything. Come back, Jimmy Graham. Man, I'm ranting about this because I am fresh. Let me tell you, fresh off this highlight video. And it makes me weep for how dynamic our offense could be. You want to put 50 points on people? Jimmy Graham is how you do it. He's part of the recipe. Let me tell you what. There are other things that our offense needs. Obviously, our offensive line to be better. But with Russell Wilson at full health, Jimmy Graham, and all the other pieces of our offense, Doug Baldwin, who apparently throws touchdown passes now, there's no reason at all that we shouldn't average 30 points a game. And I'm dead serious. We could be top 5 offense in the NFL. We were part of last year after we got hurt. So just do it. Just do it, Darrell Bevell. My God. So to recap, I'm going to recap all of that. Why don't we use Jimmy Graham more? I have no freaking idea. Please, let's do that. End rant. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about this week on this episode is the Apple Cup. So, Northwest Sports Podcast, and this year's Apple Cup, it means a lot more than most previous Apple Cups, if not any Apple Cup ever. So if you don't know much about college football, you don't pay attention to college football, the Huskies have a legitimate chance to get into the college football playoff, which means that they conceivably would be ranked 4th and then play Alabama, and then play for, if they somehow beat Alabama, play for a national championship, which would be just an insane course of events for the Huskies. Like that would be really cool for them and for the general area around. And Washington State, the Cougars, are in a position to play for the Pac-12 championship as well and to play for a Rose Bowl. So whoever wins this Apple Cup is going to go play in the Pac-12 championship game. So that's crazy high stakes. Like for the Cougars, it's in Pullman this year, and for them, it's number 1, and literally this is the order that any Cougar football player, any Cougar football fan is going to put these in. Number 1, spoil the Huskies' chances for winning a national championship. Like, number 1, highest on the list, I'd say about 6 feet above anything else. That is what they're going to say. Number 2, win the Pac-12, possibly. Go to the Pac-12 championship, win the Pac-12. Number 3, get a Rose Bowl. Maybe those two could be reversed. It would be sweet to win the Pac-12. And, there's a lot on the line. Now, I'm going to preface this. Those of you who don't know me, all of you know me, that it's fine. You all know what's about to happen. I am pretty biased. Go Cougs, 100%. I hope the Huskies come in and put in 0 points, and the Cougars hang 70 on them. That's what I hope happens. That would be my dream scenario. People are like, oh, I want a close game. No. I want you to come in and get absolutely destroyed by Luke Falk in the passing game. Now, is that going to happen? Probably not. Huskies, probably, from what I've seen in college football, and I'm going to be honest, I'm not as versed in college football as I am with NFL football. So, preface number 1. The Huskies probably have the second-ish, maybe third best defense in the country. So that's definitely a tripping block for the Cougars if they were to win this game. And Jake Browning, their quarterback, and they've got some great receivers, good running back. I mean, they've got it everywhere. I think they hung 70 points on Cal. So that's legitimate. They are very good. And coming in with only 1 loss against USC, they're definitely a contender, for that college football playoff for a reason. Now the Cougars, one of the best quarterbacks in the country, though he doesn't get a lot of respect because he's in a, quote, air raid spread offense. So, of course, he's going to get high numbers. Blah, 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 sports media, blah. Well, let me tell you what. He is one of the best decision-making quarterbacks in college football. He's tough as nails, and he's going to put the ball on the best, you heard me, the best wide receiver core in Division I football, just flat out. So, we lost River Craycraft, so that sucks, but other than that, we've got a lot of weapons for him to throw it to. So, a clash of epic proportions for sure. Now, as far as my prediction for the game, I think that it's going to be very close. The worst team always comes in and wins. I mean, historically, obviously, the Huskies have beat the Cougars more times than the Cougars have beat the Huskies. I mean, that's just facts. That's a fact that any UW person is going to say, oh, well, if you look at the lifetime stats, well, okay, fine. Have you seen Pullman? It's tiny. Just give a guy a break. But this year, I think that the Cougars, with the advantage of Pullman home crowd, which if you haven't been there, if you haven't experienced it, excellent. I mean, it's going to be loud. It's going to be rowdy. 35% people are going to be blackout drunk. So, it's going to be a crazy day. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited for the game. I'm excited for Luke Falk to honestly get his revenge on the Huskies. So last year, Luke Falk was out, and we had Peyton Bender come in and just absolutely make me cry because the Huskies just trounced us. Just got trounced. But this year, revenge of the Luke. Let me tell you what. It's going to be a great game. It's going to be a lot of fun. Either way, it's good for the state. It's good for the state's college football. So I'm excited. Definitely think the Cougars are going to win 100%. I'm feeling pretty strong about that pick. 100% bias, 100% of the time. Should be fun. So that's my topic of the week. I mean, kind of a quick, dirty topic. I mean, I was honest with you before. I don't know that much about college football. I watch the Cougars play, and that's pretty much it. I watch highlights. So when you come and say, actually, the Huskies are the second best defense in the league, and here's why, and then you roll your scroll out in front of me, yeah, I'm not actually going to listen to you. It's not going to happen. So, I mean, that's all I got to say. Okay, and as always, do you have a question for me? Do you? Maybe? Possibly? You can comment on this video. You can send me a text message, or you can go through the more official channel that absolutely nobody uses. You can tweet at Neutral Zone NW, or you can email me at Neutral Zone Infraction NW at gmail.com. And after this last week's view totals on YouTube, I think I'm going to start calling this podcast Talking to Myself with Drew. So, just keep all of that in mind as I move on to my picks. Last week, I crushed it. I killed it. I absolutely decimated it. 12-2. Pretty darn good. That brings my lifetime total to 83, 47, and 2, which, if you don't know, ladies and gentlemen, is a .638 win percentage, which is, like I said, not too shabby. Let's pick some games for this week. I'm excited. Thanksgiving games. I'm going to try to watch as many as possible while still showing my family the love and affection they deserve. We'll see how that goes. In the morning, definitely watching this game. We've got Vikings at Lions. Now, the Lions are one of these teams that always gets to play on Thanksgiving because it's tradition and some kind of backhanded deal. I don't know the history behind it. They shook hands one time. He's like, I want to be an owner of the Detroit Lions. Oh, and I got to play every game on Thanksgiving. And they're like, oh, well, only the Cowboys do that. And we're like, now the Cowboys and the Lions. And so here we are, Lions football on Thanksgiving, playing the Vikings at home. So I think the Lions are going to win this game for a couple reasons. One, the Lions are pretty decent this year. They have a lot to play for. They are first place in the NFC North right now, tied with the Vikings. So it's a divisional game with first place on the line with the Lions at home. With those three combinations of things, I'd like you to find me the last time the home team didn't win. Good luck. Get in your archive because it's been a while. Lions, definitely, at home in this game. Next game on Thanksgiving, the Redskins at the Cowboys. So the Cowboys are on, a pretty hot streak. They've got 9 wins in a row now, and everyone loves the Cowboys and, oh my gosh, the Cowboys and yay Cowboys. They don't play the Seahawks this year until the playoffs, in which point we will trounce them mercilessly. But I think that they get a win against the Redskins here. Once again, divisional game at home. Cowboys on Thanksgiving on a hot streak. You can see my train of thought here. You can put the pieces together. Cowboys are going to get a win at home. Next game, Thanksgiving evening, Steelers at Colts. Now, the Steelers finally broke their 4-game losing streak, which they shouldn't have been on. I don't understand this Steelers team. They are a great offense, like really great. And they just started to lose for some reason. This is going to be a shootout. If you're a betting person, bet the over. Except for when you don't win, don't come crying to me. Just bet the over. Just do it. Because there's going to be a lot of points in this game. Not a lot of defense. Andrew Luck at home against Big Ben and the Steelers. I think the Steelers are going to come in and get a win. High scoring game. Last 2 times Ben Roethlisberger's played the Colts, he's put up 5 touchdown passes. That's ridiculous. Yeah, bet the over. All right, Sunday morning. We've got Rams at Saints. Now, I talked about this a little bit at the start of the episode, but I think that Jared Goff is going to have a hard time in the Superdome. Those fans are rowdy. They're loud. One of the loudest places in the NFL. So I don't think that the Rams are going to go in and get it done against the Saints. I don't think their defense is good enough at this point to stop the Saints offense. So I think the Saints come away with a win. Titans at Bears. Titans. I think the Titans are going to win. Jay Cutler probably out for the season. Alshon Jeffrey on a 4-game suspension. So when your top wide receiver and your top QB are out, your team has nothing to play for because there's no way you're making the playoffs, and you want to hire a draft pick because there's no way you're making the playoffs, I think you're going to lose. That's why Titans over the Bears. Next game, Cardinals at Falcons. Falcons coming off a bye, so they're rested. They're at home. The Cardinals, something apparently happened to Bruce Arians. He was in the hospital with something about his heart. Every time the guy turns red, I am scared for him. So I hope he's okay. Really, I do. So, but I think that's gonna kind of mess with whatever rhythm they would need to have and need basically to win against the Falcons at home. So I'm picking the Falcons. Next game, Giants at Browns. Giants are going to win this game. Cleveland's 0-11. That's bad. They might be. There's only been, I think, 3 teams in history that have gone 0-16, and they have a legitimate shot of doing that because, maybe RG3 comes back and maybe they scrape out a win. They've got talent. Terrell Pryor's shown himself to be one of the best conversions of a quarterback to wide receiver. That they've got talent. They've got Joe Hayden. If RG3 could ever not be on the injured reserve, I think he'd be a pretty decent quarterback. So they've got the talent, but I don't think they're going to win against the Giants. And that's what we're talking about right now. So Giants. Chargers at Texans. The Texans kind of got one stolen from them last night by the referees, which, can happen. There's always seems to be something with the referees. Everybody hates referees. I wouldn't want to be a referee right now. That just sounds awful. But they kind of missed one, 4th and whatever. DeAndre Hopkins down the sideline. Was he out of bounds? I don't think so. But tangent. Chargers coming into Houston. I think that Texans get a win at home. They're played extremely well at home this year, and they have the biggest chip on their shoulder after that stealing of a win that the Raiders got last week. So I think the Texans are going to win at home. Next game, Jags at Bills. Every time I look at a Jaguars game now, I think, is Gus Bradley going to get fired? I think that the answer is yes. As much as I hate that, I think that he's probably going to get fired. And when he goes in and loses against the Bills, that's my pick, I don't think it helps his cause. Blake Bortles is just not playing well. Last year, he was legitimately playing very, very well. 35 touchdown passes, still a high number of interceptions, but he's throwing for a huge, crazy number of yards. I mean, just not the same team. Not the same team. They'll be lucky to get back to their 5-win total of last year. I think the Bills win this one. Bengals at Ravens. Now, the Bengals are another team that just phoned it in for the rest of the year. They lost A.J. Green, one of the best wide receivers in the league, and they lost Giovanni Bernard this last week. So they're really out of playoff contention at this point. This is another one where does their coach get fired? Marvin Lewis, longest tenured head coach in the NFL. Does that happen? I don't know. Ravens still have something to play for. They're at home. Ravens win this game. Niners at Dolphins. Man, I'm just going to be picking the home team a lot. That's what's happening right now. Well, besides the fact that the Niners are 1-9, or 1-9ers, as I saw a hilarious meme say, that was funny. The Dolphins are kind of resurgent. Jay Ajayi with his rushing. Ryan Tannehill actually led them back to win against the Rams this last week, which was kind of cool to watch the highlights of that. You know, he's pumping his fist. He's being excited. So I don't think he's the quarterback of the future still, but it's cool for him that he gets to do that, and he has the ability to do that. I think the Dolphins win at home here, riding the hot hand. All right, Hawks at Bucks. Hawks are going to win this game, of course. My only worries are Deshaun Shedd, Earl Thomas not playing, CJ Prosise not playing, so running backs, I guess. We've got Thomas Rawls, who's still on a snap count. Alex Collins, who's probably going to get some rushes. Hopefully he doesn't fumble. Troy Maine Pope is also injured, so we got really two running backs. I say we hand the ball off to Jimmy Graham. Let's do it. Hawks. All right, next game, Pats at Jets. The Pats are going to win this game, although the Jets always play them close at home. So keep an eye on that one. Could be an upset, but I think that the Pats come in and win. I just don't think the Jets have enough talent to win against the Patriots. Panthers at Raiders. Same story again. Raiders really hot this year. Number 1 seed in the AFC right now. If the playoffs were to end, they would have a first-round bye and home field advantage. So road to the Super Bowl through the black hole? I don't think so, but this week I think they get a win against the Panthers at home. Next game, Sunday Night Football, Chiefs at Broncos. This one actually got flexed. So for those of you that don't know, Sunday Night Football has the ability to basically change after a certain week the games are going to watch, depending on who's close and who has playoff implications and things like that. It was going to be Jets-Patriots, but they threw that in the garbage, thinking that the Patriots are going to trounce on them. We'll see. But we get Chiefs at Broncos. Broncos are going to win at home here. Should be a slugfest of a game, if you will. Two great defenses. Should be a lot of fun. But Broncos at home. Monday Night Football. Packers at Eagles. So, an interesting statistic over the past few years has been what happens to the team the week after they play the Seahawks. And if you look at the numbers, it's actually pretty eye-boggling. Like, you go play the Seahawks, most of the time you lose, and then the next week you do lose. So I think the Packers come in and steal one from the Eagles, not just for that reason, but I think that hopefully there's going to be some butts kicked in that defensive room. Maybe they'll get some more defensive backs back healthy. Clay Matthews is going to get a little bit healthier. I think Aaron Rodgers is tired of losing because he's not used to it. So I think that the Packers are going to come in and steal a win from the Eagles. That's my upset pick for the week. So I like their chances, though. Should be good. So those are my picks of the week. That's my podcast for this week. Thanks for hanging in, guys. Again, if you have questions, things, concerns, comments, all the places. Thanks for listening. Thanks for hanging out with me, and have a great week.